Welcome to the second edition of Fundamental Trial Advocacy. I'm Professor Charlie Rose, author of the text and presenter in many of the vidcasts that you'll be watching throughout the course of your study of advocacy. Let's get started now with a look at opening statements, the way they develop, the doctrine and the skill behind them, and the story that is told by the advocate in the moment before the jury. This next video clip deals with opening statements. You'll remember from our text, Fundamental Trial Advocacy, that there are certain things that we look for in a superior opening statement. I want you to watch during these presentations and see if you can find the fundamental elements that the advocate is using to bring the story forward to the jury members. Let's listen for the use of present tense verbs, the sense of story that flows throughout the presentation, the touch, the preview of the law that's going to apply, and that moral theme that's going to require us to decide the case in favor of one particular side. After we're done viewing them, I'll come back to you and we'll talk and identify with specificity those things that you can do to make yourself a better advocate immediately.
Chris Alexander is dead. Brandy Alexander, she lost her husband, the love of her life. Jasmine and Ariel, they lost their father. Chris Alexander lost his life to 6 gunshots. And today you will learn those gunshots came from a gun held in the hand of a scorned lover. A scorned lover that was obsessed with Chris, that was pregnant with his child, only to lose that child, and a scorned lover who thought she was going to lose Chris too. She thought, if I can't have him, then no one can. Now the state painted a picture of Brandy Alexander for you, a woman holding on to a man letting go. It's true, there was a woman holding on to a man letting go, but that woman was Nikki Long. Let's talk about Nikki Long. Now, the state doesn't need to paint a picture of her, and neither do I, because Nikki will take the stand today and paint a picture all by herself. She will take us back to the day she first met Chris 2 years ago. She saw a tall, dark, handsome man outside of her salon, instantly drawn to him in love at first sight. She will tell you she knew Chris had a wife, and she will tell you she didn't care. She knew Chris had 2 little girls. She will tell you she didn't care. She knew Chris already had a family at home, and she will tell you today that she didn't care. She planned to build a life with Chris, became pregnant with his baby only to lose that baby, and she snapped. Devastated, distraught, and desperate, Nikki isolates herself at home for 3 weeks, and by the time she's ready to face the world again, who do you suppose the first person she sees is? Brandy Alexander. Brandy, Chris's wife, Chris's partner, and the mother of Chris's children. And Brandy looked at Nikki that day and said, I don't care that you lost your baby. Nikki knew she had lost Chris, and if she couldn't have him, then no one could. She told Brandy that she would get hers one day too. And that day was June 6th, the night Chris was murdered. You're also going to hear today from the Alexander's next door neighbor. She will tell you that on the night of Chris's murder, she heard gunshots coming from the Alexander home, immediately followed by a car screeching from the Alexander's driveway. You will also hear from the officer who arrived on the scene that night, and she will tell you how she came and saw an inconsolable Brandy Alexander clutching to her husband's lifeless body, sobbing and weeping uncontrollably. She will also tell you about the fresh skid marks she found just at the end of the Alexander's driveway, consistent with the statement you will hear from their neighbor. You will also hear from the medical examiner, and he will tell you today that Chris's death was a homicide caused by the 4 initial gunshots to his groin. He will also tell you that Chris bled out for approximately 10 minutes following those shots. And in those 10 minutes, Brandy woke up, came upon her husband's body, and held him in her arms as he took his last breath. Members of the jury, these are the facts. And it is your job today to make a determination based on these facts. Now, the state bears the burden today, and it's called a burden for a reason. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Brandy Alexander murdered Chris Alexander. The state will not be able to meet that burden today. And I am confident today you will see, after hearing all the evidence, testimony, and the facts, this case is full of reasonable doubts. The police never investigated Nikki Long as a suspect, even though they found threatening notes from her in Chris's pocket the night of his murder, even though Nikki has given multiple contradictory statements, and even though Nikki will tell you herself that she didn't care about Brandy, she just cared about having Chris to herself. And I am confident you will return with a verdict of not guilty. Because remember, if Nikki couldn't have Chris, then no one could.
The performance you've just seen by Ms. Megan O'Shea is based upon the lessons that are found in Fundamental Trial Advocacy, my text with West Publishing. It also builds upon the issues that are present in the advocacy training modules at Stetson University College of Law. Let's take a look now at the types of slides that accompany this text and that are often used when this material is presented in normal classes. Well, I hope this brief overview of opening statements has given you some idea of the types of uses to which you can put fundamental trial advocacy, and more importantly, the lessons that we teach here at Stetson University College of Law when it comes to developing the superior advocate. I love to talk about this stuff, so if you have any questions, check me out on the web, shoot me an email, give me a call. Until next time, this is Charlie Rose. Talk to you later. Take care.